Sorry, having a hot flash. So a couple things. I need to get my calendar. I wasn't ready. I just turned on the lights. Does everybody know Pierre Saget? Okay, well, he lost his son. And, he just lost his wife, I don't think 6 months ago. So he hasn't really recovered from that. So we have some sympathy cards for him if you would like to sign those for him. I'll start one down each side. Okay, so I'm going to go over the calendar for this week. This is the week of the 16th through the 22nd. Of course, today is Qigong every Sunday at 9:15. After church, there's going to be a birthday party for Marcus, our little one that sits back there. Monday, clearing chakras with William and Sandra. That starts at 6:30. Drum circle with Daryl. That starts at 7. And that's on Tuesday. Wednesday, tarot certification practice. So any of those who were at the certification class that started yesterday, they're going to be having a practice 6:30 to 8 on Wednesday. So they're going to be practicing with each other. Followers of the Way, that's on the 20th on Thursday with Janice. Are you going to be doing the Sedona? Not this one. Love. It's going to be about love. All about love. Nothing on Friday. Art and Soul on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12. And then just to let everybody know, we have the date for our picnic at the park, our barbecue, annual barbecue, and it's going to be at the last day of the month on the 30th. On the calendar it says 31st. Just put a 0 there for the 1. It was a mistake. Sorry. So that we're going to be supplying the hamburgers, hot dogs, buns, and the condiments, and so we just ask that you bring something to accompany that. If the weather permits, we'll have it down. It'll be at the Columbia Point where we've had it for the last few years. So just look for us at the gazebo there by the restrooms. If it's really cold or the weather's not very good, we'll have it here. Church is that morning at the park. So 10-ish church service. Bring your drums because we will have drumming, and we'll be announcing that again through the week. I don't have any jokes. People tell me jokes and I go.
I don't have any jokes either. So we're gonna do something different. Because let's face it, Phil is irreplaceable.
Yes, he is.
So we've never tried this before, so this might be a really terrible failure and we won't ever have to do it again. But I thought we would try something different today. What does it mean to be awakened or aware? Tracy, would you be our microphone runner? Thank you, dear. Somebody say something.
Being hypersensitive to emotions, love, outside influences.
Okay.
Being able to live in the moment, out of your head, out of your thoughts, just being here.
Okay.
Being aware of the emotions and the things like that are going on, opening yourself up to the gratitude of being able to sense what other people are suffering and be able to be of service to help them, opening up to divine guidance. And that's probably one of the biggest things for me, and understanding that when somebody is in an upset mood or having a difficult day, that you're able to shift your thought and say, oh God, they're so stupid. You see it differently. You see it in a different light. You can put yourself in their place, and you can be more understanding and actually be of service to that person instead of, being the negative person that you might have been in the past.
Well said.
along with what Valerie said, being aware of how your thoughts and actions influence others, so that you're not just living in the bubble of yourself, but how you can affect other people around you.
Up here and back there.
I needed the exercise.
Well, I did say runner, didn't I?
The one thing about being aware, I was told years ago, when you master meditation, you become aware. You are aware of you're aware of everything. And there's so many times, the best example I can give you is this, okay? And I think you'll actually appreciate this. If you were to pull down this screen right there, and you would see a complete white screen, right? And if I were to take a pencil and put a dot on that screen, that is the life of an agnostic and an atheist. Because if it's not in a book, or if it hasn't been proven, it doesn't exist. Now, if you were to take that pencil and draw a little circle around that dot, that's organized religion, okay? Because if it's not in the Bible, or if it's not in the Quran, or if it's not in some specific book, it's not true. What brings me here to this church isn't the music, it isn't the jokes, it's freedom. Because I have the freedom to experience everything that is in this world. I don't have to have a book that says it's true. I don't have to have a professor that says it can't be true, because I know what is true for me. And by meditating, it makes me aware. And just a small example, I was walking down the street with my wife on a Sunday morning, and there's a rock rolling down the street. And I'm looking at this rock, and I'm going, God, what is going on? And my wife's like, what's wrong? I said, look at this rock. It's just rolling down the street. She says, so? I said, honey, there's no cars, there's no people, there's nothing here. Why is this? And it stopped right in front. I still have the rock. I put it with my tarot cards.
Yep.
But I took the rock, and she says, well, I said, how can this even happen? She says, well, maybe it was the vibration from that airplane. I said, well, or the earthquake in Chile, but anyway, but it's being aware. Okay, it's like being touched, or it's like
Okay.
anything. It's just being aware. So.
Good job. Thank you. In the back. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I just want to say, for me, awareness has just been really looking at myself and refining myself. And it feels like the more and more I just learn about myself and release different things that don't serve me anymore, I find an increasing awareness. And, the more and more I'm aware, the more one day I will be in true alignment. And I feel the same as with this earth. We are all a part of this earth, and the more individuals that raise their vibration will raise the vibration of the earth in a whole. And it's just
Amen
amazing.
to that. Yeah, thank you. One more, and then I have another question.
Awareness, in my personal opinion, is the wrong word. It's being open to the possibilities of just that anything is possible and that we can make it possible.
Well said. Well done. Now, to follow that question, what's the hardest thing about being aware? There we go. Or what's the challenge that comes with being aware?
My answer to that is going into autopilot.
Autopilot.
Just going, doing the things that are mundane, and that pulls me out of my awareness, and it takes a lot of meditation, like he said, to get back into that, especially just with life the way it is these days.
Okay, so let me ask it differently. Keep the microphone. So, when you're in awareness, what's the challenge of that? What's the hard part of that?
Feeling everything that I'm scared of.
Yes. Right. Well said. Well said. Up here.
This is a rarity. I usually don't do this. But being hyper aware, again, of everybody else's without taking on theirs and not being overwhelmed by the environment and everything going on around you. And
Wonderful. Yes.
Just, being hyper aware. That's the only word I can think of.
Anybody else?
I think once I've been awakened and aware, the challenge is I might have to change.
Oh, I hate when that happens. I'm sorry. Love it, yeah. Love it. Me no like, yeah. Well said. Well said.
No, she stole my thought. Now I don't have to say it.
Okay, Jenny in the back.
You know, I think for me, it's when I'm aware and I'm interacting with somebody who's totally unaware and they're off balance and whatever's going on, I realize the responsibility is with me to take the high road. And sometimes I don't feel like taking the high road. I want to get in their stuff and I want to give them back what they've got. So that's my challenge.
Well said. Yes. I think there's a lot of amens in there. Any other comments on that? One up here.
I think the hardest part in my life of being aware is you have to be sensitive to what you allow in and not what you allow out. And there's an old saying that says you can't keep the bird from flying over your head, but you can keep it from nesting.
No, that's true.
You know?
Well said.
And I think there's so many, we're bombarded, the more aware you become, the more you're bombarded by things that go on. And I think you have to become really sensitive to what you allow in and what you don't allow in.
What you allow to nest. Well said. Well said. Any other comments on that? So was that fun or what? I would love for us to do that again. So we may have to shorten Phil's jokes up a bit sometime in the future. Yeah. We can manage. So thank you for your input. I think all of those things are really powerful and it helps us, you know, to know that we're not the only ones on the journey. We're not the only ones that, hit the wrong thing. See, I can't think it only goes this way, right? Okay, so Phil has his value. All right, we have a song. We've done this song before. And so, could we have lights back on again? I forgot. At least the center one. Hey, Jimmy. Oh, Tracy's got it. Boy, she's getting her exercise today. So we just watched, for YouTube people, Blinded. We've been enlightened. We just watched the video for Have It All, and I think that's what I really want for you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have all the joy in the world. You're ready for that, right? You're ready for that. So I have interesting things have come to me for us to talk about today. And they're kind of in little bits and pieces, and I'm not sure how they all fit together, so we'll just see how it all fits together. But I wanted to share with you my new favorite Bible verse. I keep making this make noise. You guys are like, oh, you're just whacked. And that's okay. And it's funny, it's been here for centuries, and I just found it. How fun is that? And I was looking for something else when I stumbled upon it. And I think sometimes, Richard was talking about, here's this rock rolling and being aware. You see things that you don't normally see. And I think that's how it is in our lives, that sometimes things will just appear, or we become aware of them, and they've been there forever, but we just became aware of them. They just registered in our mind and in our awareness. And there's good news, bad news with that. So we'll chat about that here in a minute. But here's this Bible verse. I just can't believe I missed it. And here's the funny thing. There's 3 different kinds of people that read the Bible or whatever. There's the people over here, and they read the Bible every day, and they have no damn clue what it's all about. Sorry, I said a bad word. Cancel. And then there's people over here who've never read it and know exactly what it's about and don't like it. And then there's people in the middle who go, I have no clue what this is saying, but Might be able to find something encouraging and interesting in there, so I think I might read in that. I might check that out. I kind of fall in this category. And things can speak to me when you're in that place of being open and aware, that openness that Shannon was talking about earlier. When you're open, you have the possibility of seeing something in a new perspective, or seeing something totally new that you didn't even know was there. So here's the verse. I love it. You're going to love it too. Psalms 85, verse 10. Loving kindness and truth have met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I love that. So let's look at that again. Loving kindness. Loving kindness. What's loving kindness? Loving kindness is being kind and loving. Easy peasy. Sometimes when we're on a spiritual path, knowing how to be kind is a challenge. Because we don't want to rescue. Rescuing somebody is non-productive. But being compassionate and kind and having loving kindness is really, really important. And this says that loving kindness and truth have met together. So truth. Let's talk about truth. Truth is this neutral energy. There's no charge to it. And truth is powerful. It changes the world. Truth will change the world. Truth will set you free, right? But here's the thing. Let me tell you a story. Just recently, there was an argument going on between family members in my family. Not me and Phil. We don't argue. We just kind of laugh at each other, that's all. Oh, you're so silly cute. It's hard to argue with somebody when you call them beloved, right? Anyway, we have our moments, but we don't argue. So anyway, these two people were arguing. And it was just tearing up the family. It was really hard on everybody. And there was weeping and wailing and moaning and gnashing of teeth. It was just not fun. And this one was saying, no, I can't do it that way. And this was saying, you have to do it this way. I can't do it this way. You have to do it this way. I don't want to do it this way. You have to do it this way. But I want to do it that way. So that was getting nowhere. So I just said, what's your truth? What's your truth? And this person thought about it, and they thought about it, and they thought about it, and they came up with what their truth was. And it was sweet, and it was simple, and it could be delivered with loving kindness, without this resistance, with this, I'm not gonna and you can't make me kind of thing. It was just like, well, here's my truth about that. And the other person went, oh, I get it. They couldn't hear the other. There was too much resistance going on, too much struggle. But they could hear the truth. So here was loving kindness. They didn't hate each other. They love each other. But if you take loving kindness and it's supported or carried, the truth is carried by that, powerful. That changes the world. We were talking about changing the world earlier today. Your truth being supported by loving kindness, oh my gosh, changes the world, changes everything. But we don't know what our truth is sometimes because we get all confused and befuddled by what is everybody expecting of me, and I got to resist that. And when we get into that resistance mode, there's struggle and strife. But if you can get into your truth, struggle and strife fall away. So that's this loving kindness and truth have met together. Then the second half of this, righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Righteousness. What is righteousness? Right, wiseness, knowing the right thing to do. Well, again, sometimes we don't know the right thing to do because we're all befuddled. We get all messed up in what we think we should do, what we think we have to do, we got to do that, or it's our duty or obligation or responsibility. And listen, I'm all okay with duty, obligation, responsibility because, nobody else is going to make your bed and nobody else is going to brush your teeth. So brush your own teeth. That's your responsibility. You can do that. You can manage that, right? Unless, of course, you can't. And it's okay to do that. You don't have to begrudge that. You can take care of yourself willingly and effortlessly. That's easy. But sometimes we just don't know what the right thing to do is. In Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, it says, "There's a way which seems right to a man, but his end is the way of death." That sounds pretty grim, doesn't it? Let's say that a different way. This is Proverbs 16, verse 9. "The mind of a man plans his way, but the Lord directs his step." You know, we can have a plan. There's nothing wrong with a plan. And sometimes you can almost hear the good Lord laughing about that. Divine forces, angels, whatever you want to say. I think there's some humor in the world, the spirit realm. So let me tell you a story about that. So there's this another person that I know wanted to go on a business trip with her husband. And she's part of this team. They work together, so she was part of this team and had the right to go to this event. But she didn't. There wasn't funding for her to go. Somebody else went. And while they were out of town on this event, the person that went in her stead got hit by a car and died. And she called me. She said, "I just have to witness to you about this. I have to tell this. Because I was so mad at God because I wanted to go. San Diego, I wanted to go." But she said, it could have been me. Could have been me. So I was second-guessing God, and I was mad at God about things like that. I have people tell me all the time, I can't go to church, I'm mad at God. Welcome to the Divine Fellowship! God gets it, I tell you. I don't think God gets mad back. I think God goes, "Oh, it's about time." Because when we're mad, we're struggling. Anybody read the newspaper today? Wrestling with God is a no-win contest. You read that in the newspaper today? I have to share this with you. This is by Micah Smith, who is president and founder of Global Gateway Network with offices in Richland. Okay, here's what he has to say. I love this. "The buzzing chatter around the rodeo arena went still. Everything slowed down except my heart rate. All I could hear was the leather creaking in the saddle and the slight jingle as they gently tugged on the big bay horse's reins and backed him into the chute. The summer sun was hot. Sweat ran down my face as I tried to mentally review the 52 things my instructor had taught me on how to chase down a 600-pound steer on the back of a horse. Then the chute flew open and instinct took over. At 30 miles an hour, I leaned far to my right, reaching out as the horse maneuvered me closer to the speeding steer. All I had to do then was drop off the horse, catch the steer behind the horns, and tackle him. No problem, huh? But when the horse felt me drop from the saddle, he was trained to move away from us so I could stop the critter's momentum, twist his head around, and wrestle him to the ground. Steer wrestling, or bulldogging, is a rough and dangerous sport. After many near disasters, I finally got the hang of it. But it never prepared me for a wrestling match with God. I never knew much about that kind of wrestling match until I became a Christ follower. Don't you love that? Christ follower. Follower of the way. And read about a man named Jacob in the Bible. Genesis 32 relates a wild midnight narrative telling how this cowboy-like character thought he could whip God, the angel of the Lord, in a wrestling match. Like Jacob, I wrestled and struggled with God, even though I know very well that I don't come out on top. There are no 52 techniques that will give me an edge to win this divine grappling match. Quick hands, strong arms can't hold him. The fastest horse can't outpace him. Jacob learned that too. He came out of that fray with a permanent limp and a new name, with a new destiny. Wrestling with God will do that to a person. We all face hard things in life when we wish with all our might. Let me read that again. We all face hard things in life that we wish with all our might were different. When I don't get to write the story timeline by fixing something that is broken, or changing something that hurts, or dealing with people and problems beyond my reach, anger and resentment inevitably try to bully and take control of my attitude and outlook. Sometimes in the arena of prayer, I wrestle with God over how this or that should happen, or why I want it sooner rather than later. Pastor and writer A.W. Tozer said, "The reason why many are still troubled, still seeking, still making little forward progress is because they haven't yet come to the end of themselves. We're still trying to give orders and interfering with God's work with us." When Jacob wrestled with God along the banks of the Jabbok River, that sounds like something from Star Wars, the Jabbok River. Could be. The sight of their struggle became so significant that it was given a name, Peniel, or face of God. Anyway, getting into God's face is what people fear most, but what God designs for our good and our survival. Theologian and Christian apologist Timothy Keller nails it when he says, God has to wrestle with us into a transformed life rather than comfort us into one. I've learned that it's okay to wrestle with God and not win, because even in losing, I win. But as the psalmist wrote, "But as for me, it is good to be near God. And when the sun breaks forth in a new day, I may be limping, but the promised land is just ahead." We get to wrestle with God. We get to wrestle with what is the right thing to do here. Wrestling means that you're on the right path. And wrestling with God means you're doing the deal. God doesn't have this A plus B equals C, and you do this perfect little thing, and it's all signed, sealed, and delivered. It's all done, and your life will be perfect. No. Every day is different. Every day is unique and new. And every day we can choose to have our struggle against the situation, or we can do this inner struggle with divine source to a beautiful resolution. Because we want it our way, don't we? I want it my way. My way's the best way, right? Until it's not. A man's steps are ordained by the Lord. How then can a man understand his way? So it's like you have a destiny. But it's not this, you will take 7 steps and then turn left. That's not your destiny. Your destiny is about who you are, who you're becoming, and you can't fight it. Well, you can, but you can't win. Like I always felt that I was meant to be a teacher, but I didn't want to be in a classroom full of little children. I just didn't think that would be very much fun at all. God bless. Any teachers in the room? God bless you. Any of you who had been teachers, God bless you. I think they're a miraculous group of human beings. Not for me. But everywhere I went in my life, even when I was a legal secretary, I was teaching people. People would come to, how do you do this? There was a whole teaching branch of the office, but they would come to me because I could make it really clear. And then when I found something I really loved, then teaching was even more so. So what you are meant to do, it may be predetermined, maybe your destiny. How you do that is up to you. And that's where the struggle is. Because we think it should all be written out for us. There's your stamp. This is what you're supposed to do. Yeah, your palm will give you some instructions on what talents and abilities you have. But how you apply that is up to you. That's your choice. And that requires the struggle between you and divine source. Does it not? I don't want that. But you're good at it. But I don't want to do that. Well, you might want to think about that. Well, I don't want to. It's okay to struggle with God. Because in the end, what we're left with is this beautiful energy of this righteousness, and then peace descends. And when we have the righteousness and peace, they go, it's a beautiful thing. So you have this loving kindness and truth supporting your journey. We also then have the righteousness, knowing the right thing. Not because necessarily it's just right for me, but it's the right thing. And you know the truth of that. And when you have that, little peace kisses that. And anything kissed with peace is a beautiful thing, is it not? And to have every action that you do kissed with peace, how wonderful would that be? So that every step you take, every action you take is kissed with peace. And peace is this beautiful energy of knowing that you're choosing in. When we choose awareness, we choose in. When we're on autopilot, we choose out. If you're in this room, you've chosen in. And sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it's hard. And that's when we get to look at what is the next step? What is my step? What is the right step here? How can I do this with loving kindness and truth so that peace will kiss it? Kiss this moment. Kiss this action. And I will be blessed as a result. And not only will I be blessed, but so will you. So will others. Does that make sense? This is a beautiful passageway that we're in. So if you're struggling right now, you should take a look at that. And is that struggle really with your circumstances? Or is it really with God? But God, I don't want it that way. I want it this way. It's okay. Know that the struggle is real. The struggle is very important. If you're struggling, you're aware. If you're not struggling, you're on autopilot. If you're struggling and you're aware and you choose, then your action can be with loving kindness and truth. And then you'll act with righteous action, doing the right, wise thing, and be kissed with peace. How fun is that? Let's do a guided meditation, shall we? I had several places that came to mind that I would like